Bitter Betties.
Let's talk about bitter Betties.
Bitter Betties?
You fucking...
You bitter
you
Betty.
bitter bitch.
That is so funny. Oh my
Welcome.
God. Welcome.
This is the Big Money Stylist podcast. I know, it's a very...
I'm like, why is it right there?
This is an interesting welcome and hello.
Welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. Every week we're like, what should we talk about? What's relevant? And of course, social media came up this week. And I was telling Ani, I'm like, you know what's weird with social media is like, I think when people say weird things on social media, it's like, I'm like, that's super socially awkward. Like, can you imagine if you're standing in a room with somebody and you're like sharing this really cool story and then somebody just comes up to you and is like, you're an average OC housewife. Shut up. And you're like, what the hell? And you're like with a group of people, like, you're like, hey, are you off your meds? Is everything okay? Like, that would be so awkward, but it's weird that they can say it.
Because you know what though? Because they're fucking cowards. And I'm gonna, look, if you are someone
that you're socially awkward,
it's all of it is, it's rude, it's disrespectful, and you're a fucking coward because if you are not willing to say something to someone's face, don't you fucking dare sit behind a keyboard and write it. That shit drives me nuts.
You have to read that comment.
I will. So even like, for example, when we did Teresa's hair from the Housewives, people, I don't know if you read the comments.
I didn't read them. There were too many and I was like,
they were hilarious. And one person was like, Teresa, you're looking really great, but your thighs are looking a bit big. I'm like, you're a fucking dick.
And you know what? That's what that gets me the most is when somebody says something polite and then they think that gives them permission to say what they're thinking.
No offense.
Shut your fucking mouth. Like,
yeah. So this is why we're getting on it because you know what? I feel like, and to all of our students, this especially goes out to you or anyone who you're trying to build a business and a brand in social media and you're so afraid of putting yourself out there because you're like, what if that one person, I'm going to say now, someone will say something to you. Someone's going to be a fucking asshole. They're going to be a total dick because they are more scared of being left behind while you are making big moves.
But the other thing is that I have to tell myself is people will say stuff based off a photo, based off whatever, and I'm like, this comment that you have to read in a minute, I have to laugh so hard because I'm like, you clearly don't know me. And you might like follow me or maybe you don't. But even if you followed me, you clearly don't know what I'm about. Like,
doesn't know shit.
Yeah,
so, Danielle, we were actually in Cancun at the same time. You know, we were only 20 minutes apart, I found out.
I figured because you went to the same Tulum park.
Yeah.
Ruins. I was like, you're holding the same
I hold a monkey.
The little monkey.
Did he name him Justin Bieber when you were there?
No, but he charged me like an arm and a leg to hold the monkey.
He only charged me like $10.
Oh, no, we all three of me and my girls held him, and he's like, it'll be $60. I'm like, $60? And we gave him $40, and we're like, you're welcome.
Oh, my God.
I was like, this sounds really bad. I was like, we held your monkey for like 5 minutes. And I was like, I'm not paying you $60. No. And he's like, I told you. I'm like, you told me $20. Like, he's like,
yeah, $20 per person.
And I was like, no.
Oh, my God, he charged me like 10. Did you hold that big-ass iguana, too?
Yeah.
I love the iguana. So anyway, we're both in Cancun weirdly at the same time, did not see each other. And Danielle posted a photo. She has this really cute, like high-waisted leopard print swimsuit on. And it was she's sitting like a swing looking back. Go look on her Instagram to see it. Super fucking cute. Someone commented, God, I almost wanted to read her handle, but I won't.
I'm going to delete it later because that's what I do when I see
she goes,
negative comments.
Wow, this is terrible. East Coast women from women from old money look at OC housewives with bad taste and husbands running Trump Ponzi schemes, as well as quite detestable. Fake nose, lips, etc., and the fake lifestyle. Your taste is common.
Okay, first off, there's so many things I want to address in that post. Like, I'm not old money.
Yeah, she's saying that she's old money and you're like trashy new money. That's what she's saying.
Okay, cute. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure she has a lot of fake things. Actually, my face is real.
Do you know what's funny? She has 0 posts, 0 followers, and 0 following.
See, and then I'm like, you're not old. You're just. I think you're a troll. I don't even believe that you are old money. Like,
no, you're a fucking bitter Betty.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? Anyone else would read that, and especially like anyone who's trying to build up and like do the marketing and advertising for their business, for their clients, whatever it is, they would read that, and it's like heartbreaking sometimes because you're like, what the?
Until you go to the profile and it's like no one and like whatever, you're like, yeah, okay.
But I feel like even those little things that they're like tiny little digs that are just like, gah, they twist in, and then you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't as much. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm too aggressive. Maybe I should calm it down. Maybe
you could have like 20 good comments and then you get one bad that one and you're like, oh, I don't know. And you start kind of second guessing yourself.
Oh, yeah. And even like I had just posted something that was talking, and you know what? I'm so actually really happy. I only got one person who was upset with me over my post, but I was saying.
I liked it.
If like I'm a mompreneur, I'm a CEO, I'm a boss babe, I'm a whatever it is, I'm like, that's so stupid because no father, when his friends are like, what do? I'm a papapreneur, I'm a CEO.
That's so creepy. If they,
it's weird. You are a father and an entrepreneur. You're a mother and an entrepreneur.
Well, what's hard for me is like women, we want to be treated as equal, but then we call ourselves CEOs. I'm like,
why are you trying to differentiate yourself?
Why exactly?
It's mind blowing. Yeah. So I had posted about this, and actually I won't read the comment. I think it got deleted, but I was laughing because someone commented back and was like, I'm not going to take, and my entire post was like, ladies, like the only thing I spoke to were just women being like, if we already have a wage gap, there is discrimination. Like we all know inequality between men and women is a real thing. And I'm not going to get like on a soapbox about it, but we know it's scientific proof. There's a real thing. So you need to stop differentiating yourself for being a woman if you don't want the men to do it as well.
Right.
Stop saying you're a CEO. If I heard a woman say that, I'd be like, you're a fucking joke. Like, I don't take that seriously.
Well, what's so funny is I used to follow a lot of those accounts, and I'm like, why am I so triggered? And then when you posted that, I realized why. I'm like, because I legit am a producer. Like, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm a boss. I'm a producer. Like, I don't really care. Like, I will treat you the same as I would treat a man, treat a woman, treat whatever. Like, I don't care. And so to me, I realized, I'm like, oh, that's why I was triggered, because to me, I feel like a lot of times we're already kind of looked down, even still to this day and age, of being in the workforce.
Absolutely.
So then you go in and amplify it by saying boss babe or boss chic or whatever. But I think it's more of like a marketing angle, to be honest with you. But it still triggers me a little bit because I'm like, I've worked really hard to get to the place where I'm at. And like Garrett works with a lot of people, with like a lot of men. And I remember like a few years back, he's like, you outproduce like a lot of my high-end clients. I'm like, really? Oh, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and even I think I had to have that register because I think I was always like, oh, I need Garrett to help me. I need this extra help. I can't do it on my own, which everybody has good teams, right? But I kind of got to this place where I had to own who I was as an individual, a boss, an owner, whatever it was. And I was like, okay. And I kind of had to just like tune every label out. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and so this person had commented and she was like, I'm not going to take advice from a non-mompreneur. And I didn't even respond. I wanted to, and then I was like, it's not even worth my time. But let's get something straight. I am a fucking entrepreneur. Don't get it twisted. I built up my entire business by myself in the Midwest, and that's why I got hired into the position that I am today. I am now training thousands of artists to do exactly what I did back in 2016. Right. So don't get it twisted, ma'am. I am a fucking entrepreneur. And you're right. I'm not a mother. So I would never give you advice on how to raise your children, but let me hold up. Let me fucking tell you something. I might not have kids, but I have sat on the floor with mothers crying on my fucking shoulder time and time again, bawling in my classrooms and my training areas, telling me they are upset, they feel like they're failing, they're guilty because they're working, they're guilty because they're not working, that the stress and the pressure of having to be a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur and make their clients happy and raise their kids and not raise their kids to be disasters and keep their marriage together was breaking them. So you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you if you think you can sit here and tell me that I am not empathetic and sympathetic to every single fucking woman that has ever sat in front of me and been stressed and upset and not known where to go. That's why I do what I do. So you're right. I haven't created a human and birthed them out of, nope, won't say those words. I have not birthed a human being, but that does not mean that I don't understand the stress and the pressure that every single woman faces, because I don't have to birth kids to understand that. Well, but you're right.
You don't need to, though. Like you just said it. You said, I have empathy for that, and I've sat there with them. And in your post, you weren't saying that you were a mother. Your whole premise of your post was just saying like, hey, if you're a mom, you're a mom. Hey, if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. But like, you don't need to say I'm a mommypreneur. You don't need to say I'm a boss babe, because that puts
you're someone's boss. You're the boss.
Yes, you are just the boss. You are a entrepreneur, like whatever it is. And so I think that's like really the point in what I read out of your post is like, don't label yourself something. Like if you want to be treated like an equal, then act like an equal and act like a producer. Do you want to know the biggest thing that speaks volumes? Numbers.
I love me some numbers.
I know, like literally, like I tell Garrett all the time, he loves to brag about me. He's always like, my wife, like she's amazing. Like we got this house together. Like, and he wants people to know that about me. And I'm kind of like, babe, I'm cool. I don't care. Like, I know what's in my bank account. I see my numbers.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough gratifying for me. And he's like, I know, but I want people to know. So I love that he's like proud, but even I'm like, I don't care. People can think whatever they want, but I know the results that I have, and that's enough for me.
And it's honestly, it's one of those things, and this I feel it like feels like shitty to have to say, but women, if you want men to take you more seriously, they're gonna understand money.
Yeah.
Like, truly, I know now, like, even going back to the mom thing, they now make machines that men can attach to feel like contractions, which I don't know if you've seen those videos. I've been in tears. Men go through one and they're like, get this off. They're like flailing, and the women are sitting there with a cup of coffee like, you fucking pussy. Like, this is hilarious.
This is
but like, even things like that. But it's true. Men respect money.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I outproduce every man in my life. Like, that's just an end, like, not to be a dick about it, but I do. But also, I work extremely hard for everything I have. So you know what? Zero guilt comes with that. Like,
I've noticed too, like, because even Garrett's very vocal about my success and that kind of thing. When I meet other men that are part of Warrior, they automatically, like, they are very respectful. They're kind of like, oh my God. There's no like, hey, how are you? Like, you.
Oh, hi, Danielle.
Oh yeah, like, how are you? Like, it's just like, hello. Like, it's a very respectful, like, shut down any kind of feelings of like, your wife's hot or whatever it is. They're like, your wife's a producer.
Yep. And yes, you're a very little human. You're small, you're beautiful, and yes, like, you have great fashion, like, all these things, but on top of that, you are an entrepreneur and you are the CEO of your own company and you created your own extension method, and those are things that are important. So, but for all of you listening, it's so hard because when you go on social media, like Danielle said, you can have 100 people saying, you're amazing, you're great, you're wonderful. You have one piece of shit that's like, your thigh looks thick. Or you need a boob job, or they're like, you're stupid, or what you said is dumb.
You know what I hate is when they say a comment and they think they're helping you out. On that same post, I had a girl that was like, honey, you're beautiful, but that is not your best angle. I'm like,
you're like, really? Because I think I look thick.
I literally was like, I look thick. Like, even my daughter was like, Mom, your butt looks so big. I was like, sweet.
Thank you.
I was like, very proud.
And you know what's so funny? I look at that photo, and guys, in case you're curious, it's her wearing like this leopard bikini on the swing. But I look at it, I didn't even notice your butt. I was like, ooh, that looks just pretty.
The ambiance is like cute.
I wasn't like, funny. Yeah, Danielle, nice ass. And I'm like, well, why is she focusing on that? I saw the photo. I liked the photo. I didn't even notice. I just noticed how pretty it was.
Oh, geez.
And that's mind-blowing. But I really think, guys, when it comes, because I know, like, we take those things so personally. We become upset. We're like, oh, so-and-so said this. Is it true? Like, even when I cut my hair, oh, my good God. Most people were like, I love it. The amount of comments that were like, oh, you cut it? I really liked it.
Putting a lot of tone
they go,
behind that.
It's cute, but, and I'm like, fuck your butt. I didn't ask you. My favorite people go, you're so brave to take out your extensions. I'm like, I'm wearing extensions still.
You're so brave.
Yes, I lopped all of my hair off. It was down to my waist. Now it's above my shoulders.
If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Come on. Didn't your mom teach you that?
No, the golden rule doesn't exist. Shut your fucking mouth if you have nothing nice to say.
Literally, though, like when I was like reading some of my, I have this rule with myself because I'm human. I get
everyone
triggered,
does it.
And literally I want to be like, oh yeah, well fuck yeah. And I'm like, nope.
Do you know?
Just recently I got to this is funny. Okay, I need everyone to know I write all of my own posts. I literally write all of them. I send them through Grammarly, I read over it, and then I post it.
Sometimes Grammarly fucks you, man.
Sometimes Grammarly doesn't pick up you and your. Like, it just...
I already know where this is going.
It just doesn't. But I'm got a million other things going on. I'm really proud of the message I put out there.
Yeah.
You know what I hate the most?
The grammar Nazis.
The grammar fucking Nazis. I can't handle it. I want to physically just throw my phone every time somebody made a comment, and my rule again is delete and block. Who cares? If it's not worth your time. Like, I don't even... Like, I want to respond... But then I know that I'm going to get more triggered because the conversation is going to keep going. So I'm like, I don't need to be right in this situation. I don't know who you are. I don't care. Delete and block. So when a girl was like, yikes, who managed your social media team? They really need to learn the difference between your and your. That's embarrassing. And I was like...
Your attitude's embarrassing.
And I was like, you're embarrassing. And I literally that's what I was thinking. I'm like, imagine you're like, you're literally like with like a group of people, whether you're friends with them or not. Mm-hmm. And you're like pouring your little heart out and you're feeling like this, you're sharing this really inspirational message. And everyone's like, yeah, that's great. I totally agree. And then you have the one Karen in the back that's like, You said that wrong. That would be so socially awkward.
Who, if you wouldn't say it in real life, don't say it. And you know, like
Yes.
one rule that I've made for myself, because I feel like my Instagram is actually pretty chill now, but I feel like there are times and days where I post controversial shit, and that's okay. Like, I'm not here to be everybody's cup of tea. Like,
Right.
honestly, I feel like if you go your whole life and you never make a wave, like, you didn't do something big enough. Like, sorry. So if I make waves, I'm pretty cool with it. And anytime someone has commented something nasty and I want to respond, because let me tell you, I've typed some shit out and then been like, delete, delete.
I do that too.
I will go through, I'll delete. I leave most of the messages. I feel like if people delete them, like if they're gone, it's because other people have deleted it. But you know what I do? Instead of taking my time to respond to that one negative Nancy, I take double the amount of time to respond to all of the people who type something nice. I like their comments. Yeah, I like their comments. I tell them thank you. I'll look at their Instagrams.
If you do that too, they'll come back, and if somebody says something mean, they'll be like, they'll like stand up for you. They'll be like, you're raving fans. They'll be like, no. And so sometimes I'll leave comments like that because I'm like, God, that comment was so stupid, because I know somebody else will come in and I don't have to comment, and they almost like fight the battle for me.
Well, and like I'll go in, like I'll even like if someone says something really nice, like I'll go look at their Instagram and like I'll like something of theirs, or I'll give them a compliment back, like because I'm more like I couldn't, I fucking wanted to respond to these negative dickheads, but instead, why not take double the amount of energy and pour it so heavily into something positive?
I like that. I'm gonna try that.
Yes, and I feel like that, and then because then I also, instead of stewing over that one where you're like, this bitch, I'm gonna wreck you. Instead of doing that, look, let's get something straight. You know what? I'll tell you a story later, actually. Okay. But even instead of doing that, then I spend the next 10 minutes reading beautiful comments, commenting
and
back.
And then you feel probably good.
I feel so much better.
You feel like you got your energy bucket filled up instead of depleted.
Yep, and instead of fighting back because I wanted to, and here's the deal, like, do you know when I was little, I wanted to be a lawyer?
I could see
That's what I wanted to do. I took like a debate class in high school. It was the best. I've never had so much fun. So I feel like I read a lot of books. I feel like I'm pretty articulate, even though I have the mouth of a sailor. I'm okay with that. So I feel like when it comes to me writing and speaking, if I'm trying to prove a point, so help me God, I will prove my fucking point. But I decided that for me was like, I'm not going to pour more energy into it. I'm going to take that back, take my space back. This is my profile. If you don't like it, get off of my fucking profile, you little weirdo stalker. And then just move on from it. And I actually feel like my profile, since I started doing that, has really become like generally a place of positivity. Yeah. And I really like that. So if you have negative comments, or if you're like, I can't post that, I can't do that, someone's going to say something, you're right. Someone will. Yeah. Someone isn't going to like you. They're not going to like the hair you post. They're going to think that your business is stupid. They might think you have thick thighs. Fuck them. Like, it's like, it sounds so terrible to say. But you know what?
They're not usually the ones putting themselves out there, honestly. The people...
The woman who commented on you had 000.
Yeah, even like the other girl that was like, oh, not your best angle. She said she was in fitness, but she had like no followers. And I was like, that's embarrassing that you're in fitness. Like, you should be like pretty positive about
body positivity. You mean?
It was like
fascinating. Yeah. So, and that's what I really think it is. Like, guys, the negativity is never going to stop. And I wish that I could say that it would, but it's always going to be there. So if you're limiting yourself based on the fact that there's negativity, then you're going to be limiting yourself for the rest of your life. So you have to get to a place where you are bigger, you are stronger, and you're more powerful than any of the negativity that can come across, because that's how you get past it.
And you know what? It's so funny, because if you actually want to have a voice, if you actually want to have an impact, it comes with taking some heat. It comes with taking some heat. So if you're scared of the heat, like, stay out of the fire. Like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And if you like shy down from one negative comment, like, you're not going to grow to the capacity in which you know you can. So I would challenge you, like, if you get, and I'm human, we're all human, and I still,
it happens.
I still get the feelings when I'm like the rage
son
comes.
Of a bitch.
But I have to tell myself, like, Danielle, you're better than that. Like, I have a minute, and then I'm like, okay, you're better than that. Like, delete and block. And that's why I always do it. And now I want to implement what you said, where you're like, pour that positive. If you're going to sit there, then pour that positivity and the other people that are being positive back in your life. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny, because I was in church.
Yeah. I was wondering if this was
I was in church last week, and the pastor said, if you want to have a voice, you have to step outside the voices. And for me, that really resonated, because I'm like, yeah, if you want to have a powerful voice, sometimes you just got to tune out what everybody else is saying, and not in like a naive way, but you have to really put your focus where you need to put your focus. And if that means like getting out of your own way, getting out of the people that you think are, oh, do I look big? Do I look fat? Do I look this? Is this hair good enough for this? Like those are also your own voices. So you have to get outside of all those voices. We're not just talking about negative comments. Like you have to get out of your own way, get out of those voices of you constantly critiquing yourself and just go. Because the only way that you'll be able to learn and grow is to fuck up along the way. And if you're willing to fuck up, then you have to be willing to stand up and continue to progress to go towards whatever it is you want. So fuck you, old money. Yeah, welcome to new money. Sorry. That was just my, I got it out. I'm done.
It's cool. I already yelled at someone once too. But you know what? I also agree with Fuck you, old money.
Fuck you, old money.
Can that be the title of the podcast, please?
Fuck you, old money.
But even, I agree. I 100% agree with what you said. Like, you are going to have to put yourself, like, to build anything, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And I will be the first to say it's not easy. A few years ago, I dealt with someone that actually truly hated me so much to her core. It actually ended up in restraining orders. She was posting photos of guns, like me tagged in it. Like, it was I've never experienced anything like that.
And that's when you know you're up to big shit.
Yeah. And you know what? At the time, I was like, what is happening? And it was upsetting. It was weird. It was kind of crazy. But I look back now, I'm 3 years on the other side of that. And I'm actually so grateful for her and honestly her craziness. Like, I'm so grateful for it because I feel it put me in a place, while at the time it was hard, it really put me in a place to be like, okay, are any of the things that she's saying about you is true? And I would literally, and I'd read them and I'd be like, well, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. And it happened obviously every day for probably like 6 months. It was so frequent and I read it so much. People would be like, did you see? I'm like, oh, stop. But it put me in a place to be so comfortable and confident with myself that it doesn't matter now if someone's like, did you know Ani's such a piece of shit? To hear that sucks, but then I'd sit there and be like, well, am I a piece of shit? And I'm like, you know what? No, I have an amazing family.
I think your strength and your capacity goes up. So it's like, so it's like when you see comments like that, it's almost, you're like, no, like you're like.
That to me tells me you obviously know nothing about me. And if you know nothing about me, nothing about my morals, nothing about my integrity, nothing about where I stand on any topic in my life, then your comment is now 100% irrelevant and you mean fucking nothing to me because you don't know me.
Well, the thing is that I kind of go back to is like, okay, well then prove them wrong. Like you're triggered a little bit by this, well then prove them wrong. And so I kind of go back into this place where I'm like, hey, guess what speaks volumes? Results. And if you followed my story in the last even 5 years, the results that both me and my husband have had and like our companies, like we just keep doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. And people recently, so my handyman, he's like, he works with like a lot of our old neighbors and just random people throughout the community. And he goes, yeah, like people are asking me because they know I do a lot of work for you guys. Like, how did they do it? Are they like they assume we're like selling drugs or like doing some kind of like they can't drug mule? Like they can't even fathom. I'm like to me, I'm like, oh really? I'm like, no, hard work and consistency. But I have to remind myself, like, people will get in this space where they're like, I'm good here, and they don't even want more. It's not even a possibility to them because they think like, I'm good here and I'm already working really hard. So if I want to achieve this, then I have to work even harder, right? Yeah. And so they immediately say, no, you're safe here, cut off here. Like this is that you should be happy here. This is where you're at in life. It's good enough. It's good enough. And I think I'm always hungry for a little bit more. But what's so crazy is every level that I get to in personal success and business success, I actually feel a little bit more freedom and I crave more. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I need a challenge. I need a task. I need more, you know what I mean? I'm like, I need more purpose. I need more purpose. I'm like, because you get to this place where you assume it's harder, but now I've got momentum built up, right? Like you're going to have seasons of hustle, but now I get to like sit back and ride a little bit of that momentum. And then I can bring it back in and like plan shit with my teams and create big shit. And then we've worked so hard on our brand that you can't let the momentum completely die, but it doesn't get harder. It almost gets like a little bit more, life gets a little bit more enjoyable.
It really does.
It does.
And even though you're working hard, you're taking clients, you're doing all the marketing, or even let's say you own like a retail store, you're building up that kind of business. Like, yes, in the beginning, it's go, 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 hustle, 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 late days, late hours. Like, it's everything. But with time, everything does become easier. And you're going to find with time, the more goals that you hit, the more that you do, the more that you accomplish, the more that you realize your capacity is larger than you thought, your goals become so much bigger. And I'm going to use myself as a perfect example. I started surfing to not be afraid of the ocean. 2 minutes in, I'm like, I'm not afraid of the ocean. Now my goal is Costa Rica. I just want to go. I want to go swim. I want to go surf in Costa Rica so bad now. That's my goal.
The water's warm. I think it'd be funner to surf because I barely even get in the water here. But whenever I'm in Hawaii, all of a sudden I'm like, Miss Swimmer, like
I cut my fucking hair off so I could surf more.
I like it.
I'm real committed to this. You need to go
somewhere where the water's warm then, because you'll probably have like an amazing experience.
Yeah, and so like that's my goal. I never in my life would have thought that I'd cut my hair just so I could go do anything, honestly, or the fact that I'd be like, no, I want to be so good at this that I can go where all the really good people are and do that with them.
Right.
First, I need.
It's scary though, right?
You're to get stronger.
I was even thinking like this year, last year when I did my competition, that was like my goal, and I did it, and I felt like I placed in each category that I did. So part of me is like, I wanted to do another one this year, and then I got back into my old self where I'm like, no, you're not gonna be able to put on the muscle, you can't do it. And I'm like, Danielle, you already did it. You did it once, but now it's not just like, it's like, you want to go to Costa Rica. I'm like, okay, well, how do I get a pro card? Is this a thing?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Maybe that's where we push each other. You get your pro card, I go to Costa Rica.
See, I don't know if I can.
Why? No, what? I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
No, because when you get to this place where you're like, I want more, and then you kind of start to think about like the time commitment. You're like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know, but you can prioritize and go after whatever you want.
You want to know how I know that's true? We have 6 days of events coming up. Actually, by the time you hear this, it'll be starting up the next day. And I text my surf coach Mo, and I was like, can you meet me? 5:30 Thursday morning at the ocean, and he goes, I don't think the sun's gonna be out. I'm like, oh, do we need light? I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, how about we take a look? I'm like, oh, we need sun. Okay, cool, got it.
Fine. I got it. Yeah.
But even then, never would have I thought I'd be texting that. But now I realize I'm looking at my schedule, trying to be like, okay, well, where can I fit it? What can I do? Because it's important to me, and I want to do it. So Danielle, do it. Fuck it. Who cares? You're gonna find time and make time.
I'll get up at 5.
We back to that chicken and rice life.
Yeah.
I'll start calling you at 5:01 every morning. Going,
I went ham in Mexico, and I got back, and I was like, my whole body hurts. And Val always laughs at me. She's like, it's because you eat so clean. And I'll have you know, like, people are always asking me like, well, how's your diet and this and that? And I'm like, listen, like, I eat so clean, and then when I want to cut, I like take a little bit out. If I want to gain, I add a little bit in it. I'm like, it's kind of a science. Like, it is what it is. But I eat so crappy when I go on vacation. When I come back, I just look like some weird Oompa Loompa, and I like roll into the gym. She's like, oh, but I'm like, you know what? It was worth it. The margaritas were great. So I have fun and I work hard. So
I love it. So guys, if you're listening to this, jumping back to our original topic, I understand that there are going to be negative Nancys. They're just dickheads, man. And it's never going to stop. So you just have to grow to a place where not that it doesn't bother you, but where you can look at it, kind of shrug it off.
Don't give them your power. And remember that. I have to remind myself that we're all human. Anytime you feel triggered, remind yourself, oh, really? You're going to give them your power? And I had this conversation with Bailey one time because she had all these girls that were kind of like being mean and being bullies and whatever. And she started like listening and believing. And I looked at her and I said, Bailey, are you going to give them your power, or are you a strong individual little woman? And she was like, when I said that, she was like, oh, I'm like, you're telling me you're not strong? She goes, no, I am, Mom. I go, then stop giving them your power. And I remember she like had a shift. Mm-hmm. So I would challenge everybody out there, when you feel like somebody's sucking from you, remind yourself that you're better than that. And you'll just focus on you, tune out the voices, and over time, you'll find yourself in the exact place where you need to be.
So guys, thank you for listening to the Big Money Stylist podcast. We actually have some very, very cool events coming up that you are definitely going to want to be a part of. So if you go to nbr.education, enter your email, and you'll be one of the first to know. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week.